I'm Scott. To my left is my co-host Marcus. Across from me, my other co-host Luke. Say hello. We're back. Episode 2. What do you think?
It's nice to be back, I guess.
It's good to be back. Last time
by popular demand.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time we were here was Fat Tuesday. Now it's a 70-degree day.
In Minnesota in March.
Yeah. Unbelievable. That's the way it is. So how did we leave off last time?
I don't remember.
I don't recall.
Should play it back.
Probably would have been a terrible idea in retrospect. Well, I'm sure we talked about stuff.
And things.
Yeah, it was really
a lot of EQOA. We didn't
really talk about specifics, like as far as places, people, things.
We didn't really talk about. Did we talk about races and classes?
No.
We just talked about our characters, didn't we?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well,
and then friends' characters.
Yes.
Right. A few other folks. How about we start? I got a segment.
All right.
I got a segment here. Let's start it off since Luke brought it up. This segment's called "Hey, remember that guy?"
All right.
Do you remember Hot Stock Server? His name was Abu.
Vaguely.
A-B-U-U.
Vaguely. Didn't he have very many variations of that name too for different characters or something? I can't remember.
He could have. I don't know. He was the first guy I sold gems to. He was a machine for buying gems.
I'm sorry, gems?
What are they called? Were they not gems?
I don't know. What were they?
Gems. This was a feature that it was a loot drop.
Yeah, and it looked like a diamond, and it was
the black
like
pearl.
there was like malachite, like a green gem,
Yep.
and the black pearl. Yeah.
Would you put these in weapons? I'm sorry,
I don't remember what you did with them.
You used them for crafting, I thought.
Yeah, but what did you craft with them?
Oh, I think it was armor and weapons.
Yeah.
Could you enchant your weapons?
I don't think so.
know.
I think that was before
Yeah, I thought
before that became a thing.
But I thought you could put the gems maybe in your gear. Like they have quote unquote slots.
So, they might have.
I don't really.
That's what happens in Diablo.
Yeah,
It might be where they got maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. But I remember when the gem update was added, people would drop, the mobs would drop these gems, and people would just fill up their banks with them, or they hold on to them because there wasn't a market developed. They didn't know what they cost.
Right.
But I sold all of them to Abu. All of them. Yep. In Freeport, High Pass. That's who got them. And I thought Marcus. I thought you remembered that guy.
I remember the
I
name.
thought he was your dealer.
My dealer?
I thought he was your
I remember selling stuff to Abu,
Okay.
but I don't really remember the gems. I remember dealing with him, yes,
Okay.
but I don't know on what.
He had a good rate.
He was like a caster of some sort, wasn't he? Wore a green robe usually.
I thought it was a red robe.
Whatever.
I don't remember. I have no idea. He was the guy who bought gems.
I didn't do a lot of crafting, so I never really got into that.
I think I did some amateur level armor.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Was
It was probably not way after, but it's probably after I got to the end and I didn't really feel like starting something fresh. As far as like a new skill or a new whatever, I wanted to work on my character who was already developed.
Right.
So I didn't go back and do it.
I don't remember the different paths. I thought you could do weapons and armor and something spells, recipes. How would you make recipes?
Did you make recipes?
Did you buy them?
I don't remember. I know you got potions.
When you got potions.
Wasn't there like potions for regenerating mana or something? Something that would regenerate faster other than the bard enchanter spells? Was there? Maybe there wasn't.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
If anyone listening remembers what gems were for, especially Abu, What did you do with those gems?
Please call it.
Exactly. Please, yeah, I don't know anything about them. Can't remember.
You just remember selling them for a decent price.
Yeah, 1K.
1K.
What was it? I think at first he did 2K, then he bumped it down to 1K.
Tunar.
Yeah. Yep. Here's a pop quiz. What did it cost to start a guild?
5,000, wasn't it?
Marcus?
No idea.
No idea from Marcus. Pretty sure it was 5,000.
I think it was 5,000, and you needed a handful of signatures too. It wasn't just one. Like it couldn't just be one person doing it. I thought there had to be a couple of people
Oh yeah.
that signed up together. Maybe it was 4 because that was the group level or limit, or I don't remember for sure. I just remember you needed more than one.
Did we ever start a guild?
I don't think we ever did. We just joined other people's guilds and took them over.
We did. Yes, we did.
But we were never in a guild, the three of us together.
No.
Did we talk about this last month?
Yes, we did.
Vaguely,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we for as close as we are and as close as we always played together, we never were in that same guild together.
Right, we even played in the same room together sometimes.
We did.
Yeah, often. Not
Same.
often, but
Regularly.
yeah.
One guild's name I remember, always my favorite one, from Hot Stock. Debt Before Dishonor.
Did you remember that?
Man, that was a good guild name.
Did you remember that?
I don't remember the guild I was in, so.
It was Humble Heroes of Hot Stock.
I think that's where we finished.
That's
Right.
But that was the guild had a different name before that, and then it disbanded because the guild leader was never on, and you couldn't do promotions because the guild leader needed to do that or something like that. There was some reason that it
Right.
disbanded.
There were promotions.
Yeah, because you could have like elder or whatever, and then you had regular members. So you had like leaders and stuff. I remember that.
Was that a thing?
I think
like
so.
Ranks?
Yeah,
There were ranks that you could do?
I believe so.
You've been promoted to whatever?
Yep.
I don't remember that. I remember the leaders of my guild. It was a family, a dad and his 2 kids. They were, from what I can remember, the creators, the main folks of the guild that I was in.
What was that name?
We talked about it last month. It was Mighty Clansmen of Light.
That's right.
Mighty Clan, MCOL. And we ended up changing it. And if any of you guys are listening from Mighty Clansmen of Light, you gotta call in.
You gotta go.
You gotta call in. In fact, I know Frosty, I know you're still out there. If you can hear my voice, we gotta get you on the line. I know you're out there. I've seen you post on different forums, I guess, different EQA forums around. And that's one guy I always got along with really well on EQA. Haven't talked with him in a long time. The other guys from that guild, I really don't remember. Those 3 are the only ones I can remember anything about. And then somehow got disbanded and we all just went different places. I think Frosty ended up in the Unnamed, or
Oh yeah, to you.
Mm-hmm.
who else was in TU?
A lot of, well, at the end it fell apart or whatever. It went to crap, and then a lot of like everybody was in it or whatever. Like, because it used to be you had to have a certain like almost prestige to get into it, and then at the end they were just letting everybody in that wanted to be in it. They were letting all the crap in.
I should have come back for that.
You could have trained them on their raids.
Could have actually got in one of those guilds.
I remember that. I don't remember. They were good. It just they weren't really nice people though either. When I remember.
I don't remember any of that. Do you remember before TGNV was TGNV? Didn't they just have Norvacious and then the Guardians.
I know there was the Guardians. I don't know if
Did they combine those later?
could be.
I'm pretty sure they did, yeah.
Another one of those elite guilds.
Vacuous or vacuous?
I don't know. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's not vacuous.
Vacuum cleaner. Check.
TGNB. Alright, how about remember that guy? Hey, remember that guy? So, one of you two, I think it was one of you two, ran a female character, which I know both of you did. But one of you two had a love interest. It could be way off. You had a love interest that followed you around Freeport and gave you free things.
Alright, so I had this dark elf warrior.
Okay, that was not me, so I don't remember this.
This is before my alchemist. So this was, I think it was right, yeah, it was before Frontiers, I think, because I really didn't play her much.
Let's do a quick recap of our characters. Marcus, you were...
I was a gnome alchemist during Frontiers, named Evelyn, and then I had a dark elf warrior named Cry that I started, I want to say it was before Frontiers, so. Then I also had a barbarian warrior named Calamity, but he never really panned out, so.
Okay.
This turn instead?
No,
My arm?
fine.
Okay.
Luke?
I had a female elf druid named Frail, and I had a dark elf assassin or rogue named Unhappy, and I had another character or two, but I don't really remember what they were. I had a mage that got towards the end, but I don't remember what he was called.
And Scott?
I had troll warrior, probably didn't get it past 25, named Imperator. It's all on hot stock. All these characters are on hot stock.
Correct.
And then my main troll was a troll named Everlong, 60 Shaman. Just a really putrid character.
And then he was.
So,
Choo choo.
yeah, exactly. So that's who I was. Marcus, go ahead.
So I was leveling my Dark Elf Warrior, and I was at the Knoll Cave, or somewhere near there. And me and my friend Kyle, and his shaman, he was dual boxing, I think, already at that point. So maybe it was during Frontiers. Regardless, leveling my warrior. And the sword, the really low level, really awesome low level sword, that kind of was very phallic, whatever.
Yeah.
What was the name of that?
Oh,
the Grimblade, or
yes.
I can't remember the name.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yes.
That dropped.
It was
And
a
this
huge sword, right?
Huge sword,
Yeah, it had
stupidly
like
large.
a bulb on the end.
Yeah, it was very bulbous at the end.
Was it two-handed or one-handed?
Ooh, I want to say it was a one-hander.
Did you call it
I'm not
Grim Reaper?
sure.
What'd you call it?
Grimblade, or I can't remember the name.
That sounds so familiar.
But anyways, that dropped, and this guy that was with us ended up winning it. Kyle. I'm going to blame Kyle because he's not here. Kyle told him that, she would really appreciate having that sword. And that she had been looking for that sword for a while, referring to me. Well, granted, I had been looking for that sword for a long time, but I was not a she, and I did not want to give the impression that I was a she. But I just didn't correct him.
Oh, no.
So he gave me the sword.
Oh no.
And I just said, thank you.
Sure.
So this guy, and I forget his name, and I apologize to whatever viewer out there maybe gave a sword to some female character. Everyone on the internet's a guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's true.
Not really true anymore, but at that time I felt like it at least. Anyways, yeah, so this guy, and then he would message me, and it just kind of got weird for like a week. But I tell him the truth, because I don't want to give him my sword back. Because there was no soulbound or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he couldn't just take it from
He
you.
couldn't just take it, but he could make me feel like a real a-hole, and I did feel like a real a-hole, don't get me wrong. But at least he didn't need to feel like one.
Okay. Yeah.
I felt bad. I still feel bad about that.
That's so ridiculous.
Isn't it? Yes.
I remember
Love interest on
you.
EQOA.
Yeah, he would like
Yeah.
follow me through Freeport. Yeah,
I remember.
he would like
that.
find me and
I
stuff.
do kind of remember this.
Do you remember he found me one time at where you would always train people?
Oh. Jeez.
Where there was like the camp in the middle and all the little camps around it. There was a building in the middle and all the little camps around it. It was in the desert.
Oh, that was those the Myrmidons.
Death Cliff. Or I was thinking like those tall, dark ogre. They're like ogre-like things.
Yeah. Yep.
Death Fist, or wasn't that what they were called?
Death Fist. That might be right.
Well, there's a citadel.
DFC. Yeah.
Yeah,
Citadel.
DFC.
Citadel.
Yep.
I remember him like just like randomly running into me out there. Like, hey, how's it going? You know, and like at that point I was done using the sword, I think, already, and I didn't really care. This is very weird.
So, dude, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but the decision to choose a female character, how did that come up? And I never had one. I thought of males having a female character. I thought there was something there, a little voyeuristic or role playing, being that you're playing a role playing game, I guess. There was something a little weird in my head 10 years ago about a guy playing a female character. Why did you guys choose female character?
I'll just hop in. I've wrestled with this because I remember you giving me grief for it for the longest time, and I never really could put my finger on why. For the most part, that's not always the case, because I've played male characters in the past. Oh, by the way, we're drinking some good-ass beer here.
This segment of the show is brought to you by
Good ass beer.
Good Ass Beer. Have a good ass time. For your local 6-pack of Good Ass Beer, visit your local
MGM Wine and Spirits.
MGM. Brewed and bottled by the Rhinelander Brewing Company.
In Monroe, Wisconsin. That's not.
That's beer.
That's beer.
Ooh. Wow, that's sweet.
Uh-huh.
That's like malt liquor beer.
Yeah, that's right there. That's good-ass beer.
Wow.
It's beer.
So, why I chose to play a female character. Sorry, we'll come right back into that. I had a problem, like, having my character be an extension of me. I never really felt that attached to my character. I viewed my character more as I don't want to say a pet, because that's very sexist, just like that, right? I was just wanted to pick a female character, but I found it easier to not necessarily care for my character, but I felt more, like, attached, because that was kind of like, you know, just felt natural, like, to have that, you know. I wanted to make sure that, you know, she was, whatever, healthy and everything like that, and not so much a voyeuristic type, you know, let's, you know, get free swords and stuff like that. It was just an extension of something to care for, and I found it easier to care for a female character than for a male character.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not trying to be sexist or anything, but...
No, that sounds almost like the least sexist thing. When I would picture a guy with a female character, it would be, my thoughts would be, oh, he's looking at this pixelated female character for sexual reasons, whatever, and that seemed a little weird. But the way you put it, it makes sense. I like it.
No, it was just all it was. And I mean, I remember, like, not talking about WoW, but, like, I had Virus, you and me played WoW, and I had Virus, who was an undead male.
Yes,
You know,
he was fun.
He was fun. I've had a lot of male characters since then. They're very fun. I understand. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luke, how are you gonna follow that up?
I got nothing. I honestly don't remember why I made Frail a female elf. I do one thing though. That is the only female character I've ever had. That actually made it anywhere as far as like high levels of any game. Even unless you're forced to play a female character in some role, like in modern role playing games, they split it up between male and female, which whatever. in those cases, you don't get a choice. But as far as when you make your characters, I can't think of another game where I've ever had a female character go to the end, or really even start one. I don't remember why. It was one time, one character, and that was it.
Maybe I should try it. No?
And it wasn't for sexual reasons. It wasn't for anything like that. It was just, I don't know. Maybe it was because you made a female character and I was just following suit. I don't know. I was very impressionable at that age.
Well, and the other thing is I didn't much care for a lot of the male models when EQOA first came out.
I do remember that too, kind of, because if I remember it, the males and female elves looked the same, very very similar.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really tell much difference between them. And then when Frontiers came out, they changed them substantially. I kind of remember something like that.
Yeah, Frontiers ruined the troll look.
Yeah, they did.
Turned it from a ugly looking troll to a
Pixar character.
Yeah, it was a playmate. It looked terrible. In the end, I ended up deleting my troll. I re-rolled as a barbarian.
That's right, yeah.
Put everything I had in the bank and I just deleted it. It was so terrible to look at. All the mechanics running around. I just hated it. And they came out with ogres at that point, didn't they?
Yep. Ogres came out with Frontiers and they were, I don't know, they were ugly. I don't know. I don't really remember any particular reason why I would roll a female.
I just know that I've historically usually rolled females, and that's the reason why.
Yeah, just one time. Yeah, I got nothing.
Lucas is shrugging. He doesn't know.
I don't know.
He's shrugging. So I read this great article today from, I don't remember, BuzzFeed or something. I can't remember the source of it. It was the rise and fall of AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh boy.
Huh? Right?
Yeah.
So we were all on AOL.
Of course.
And I remember a seminal moment in my high school career at Marcus's place, seeing him on AOL Instant Messenger. AIM. Let's just call it what it is. And why it went from something that was so much fun and then it died, it disappeared. Yeah.
Very quickly.
It went out. And this article is super interesting. It talks about how the developers of AIM were basically at war with AOL, the company itself. AOL, the executive vice presidents, didn't like AIM because it was a free service. And AOL at the time they charged hourly. So AIM came out in 1997, and they never really made a dime because you didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
I don't think there were any ads, hardly. And so AOL kept trying to kill it, and they weren't able to do it. And eventually, it ended up having to fight against social media networks and so on and so forth and other messengers, and they just ended up dying. But I remember EQOA was an extension of AIM in that you could socialize with folks, but you could actually see their avatar or their character, not just their buddy icon or something. It was...
The dog's eating the bone, and I'm just watching the EQ chart, and it's just all over the place. So I apologize for the dog eating the bone in the background.
Sorry, folks.
Here, I'll remove the dog. Well, to a different room.
The dog is bone.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, it was just EQOA allowed you to chat with buddies, and you could see them run around and group up with them. And that was something that was so much fun in the high school era around 2000, 2001, 2002. And it was the perfect segue. After high school got done, you could still do the same thing, but you could play a video game with folks as well. So That was all there's really to it. It was the perfect time. Perfect time for me.
I know a lot of people used it as kind of a more or less chat room for that socializing aspect instead of the game that it was.
Right.
He's back.
That'll be fine. I had a dream about EQOA the other night. That's nice to be exact.
Share it.
It wasn't much. I don't remember exactly what it was, except for I was a erudite.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember why.
Okay.
And
Did you have planes runner?
I did, because I specifically remember, and this dream kind of reminded me of it, the way erudites ran, which was a very like stick, like legs straight out, arms pumping. It was just a very like robotic movement. I always felt the erudite movement. It was some sort of caster, I don't remember, but I was running through the desert back to their hometown. What was their hometown?
Kinos.
Was it Kinos?
Yeah.
No. Erudites?
I believe so.
I'm
I'm pretty sure they.
Kinos was on the coast.
I thought they started in Kinos though.
I don't believe they did. I think they started in a place that's not called Kino.
I don't have my Bible anymore, so I can't
It was
look it up.
like this very holy city, I seem to remember.
Right.
But Kinos was really large. Isn't it possible they started in like a section of the town?
It-
I don't
it's
remember.
possible.
Maybe not.
I really don't think
I
so.
remember it was a lot of like stucco type houses, and like they had a wall.
Oh, Luke's looking.
I'm looking up. You're breaking. You're
Oh,
going to the fourth wall.
Oh,
Come on here, Luke.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's why they made devices that connect to the internet wirelessly.
Folks,
No.
this is unscripted. Luke
This
is
is-
going to his phone,
Yep.
looking this up,
Looking this up.
unauthorized. We're doing this per memory. This is,
He's looking it up.
this is
Fine.
fun.
It will remain a mystery forever.
Well, until the end of this, probably.
At the end of the show, we can look it up.
Okay.
Let me jot it down, just as a note to look up later.
So, anyways, I was running back into the town, and that's really about it. It was just the motion of the erudites. I remember.
You dreamt that you were a erudite?
I dreamt that I was a erudite.
What class were you?
Some caster, because I was wearing a robe. I mean, it could have been a CV. It was a white robe, so.
Do you remember all of the all robes? And did you know, by the way, they re-dropped, I think they re-dropped, towards the end of the game.
The CV.
They started re-dropping it again.
Yep, I heard that.
By the, I don't remember where it was, by the Spectres or something, wasn't it?
The only other all was, what is it, Seafoam? Or Seafoam Soiled? Or
It
Seafoam...
was a Spectre robe, too.
Oh yeah, there's a Spectre
black
robe.
one.
It was a Spectre, yeah.
Yeah.
Seafoam.
And in the Seafoam it was crap. It wasn't a good robe. But it was all. I had one.
What?
Yeah.
I think I had one, too.
Yeah.
Oh, robe?
Yeah.
What'd you do with it?
It worked.
It was like a light green color if I remember right.
Yeah.
You guys had all robes?
I believe it was all.
Was it all? Or was it just crap?
It was crap. It wasn't good.
You didn't wear robes for the stats. That's
On my Alchemist. Damn right I did.
On my Druid I did.
Well, I
I remember at one point.
I did not.
I remember at one point coming back
Oh no.
to
Oh, that is-
EQOA.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead here, but
No,
Okay.
no. There's no schedule.
I remember coming back to EQOA, and there was a certain robe I had been looking for the longest time I had played before. And I was like, well, I wonder how expensive it is. Didn't they have like an auction house, wasn't there?
Yeah, that
Mhm.
was.
So I looked it up, and it was like 28 million Dunar.
Oh yeah, robes went in the millions, or anything went in the millions.
Right. Wasn't it right? Does that sound about right?
Could be.
Like a ridiculous amount of
It was a
Dunar.
lot.
And I was like, holy buckets, like, oh, if I can afford this, like, I forgot how much Tuner I had. And I looked and it was like, oh, yeah, we can afford this. Like,
Wow.
it was just ridiculous. It's interesting. The reason why I'm talking about this is I think it was a pretty substantial gap. I want to say like a year or so, that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like, resub World of Warcraft after a year, things cost, a significant factor more when you come back, you're like, oh my god, that costs 1,000 gold. You know, I only have 500. You know, this is like, we're talking about maybe like vanilla Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
The amount of gold you got. So
Yeah.
it was interesting to me that EQOA has remained very consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of inflation, but not much.
Wow.
I think at least for WoW, part of that has to do with when new expansions do
Right.
come out.
Yeah.
And that probably would have happened with EQOA also if there would have been more expansions. That stuff from the previous expansions would have dropped in price and the new stuff would have rose way up high in price and all that weird crazy inflation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it probably would have happened if there was more than one. It just, the drop rates and all that stuff was pretty constant.
Yep.
Even throughout the whole game, and people were selling them at the same rate, so there was no really reason for it to fluctuate as much. I mean, every once in a while you'd see robes are probably a good example, where you'd see one on the auction house and it'd be 20 million tunar, and then you'd come back a week later when the auction ended and it was a new one had started and it was 60 million tunar, but then nobody would buy it, and then it'd come back and it'd be 20 million tunar, and the price fluctuations didn't happen that I remember, like they do in other games.
I don't remember it at all. Only when there were those exclusive items. The CD was the big one. I remember the option. I remember when I was on the auction house for 5 million tunar. And I was grinding it out somewhere I was near Freeport, and this guy I was in a group with said, yeah, there's a CV on the auction house right now. They want 5 million tunar for it. He said, that's not too bad of a price. And I had 100, whatever, it was nothing. I had nothing. I had no money. And I thought, oh my God, I need to get all my friends together, get them money and buy one of these things. It never worked out. Never got one. Do you remember I can only remember one guy who had a Spectre robe.
I can remember one as well.
I think you're thinking of the same guy I am. Lucas is making a face. He's drinking the good ass beer.
That is some nasty, nasty beer.
Hey, now.
He's not liking it too
I don't
much.
like that good ass beer.
Can you remember the guy who had a Spectre robe?
No.
Marcus is going to tell us.
I don't recall.
You don't remember his name?
I don't remember his name.
His name's Conqueror.
He was a troll, right? Was he a troll or was he human?
I don't remember what he
Conk.
was.
It was definitely Conk, though.
Yep.
Because I remember seeing Conk all over the place.
I remember seeing him in high pass often.
Yes.
Just a black tattered robe.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was.
I
Yeah.
remember the name Conk, but I don't really remember him.
He was just one of those guys who stood around and looked cool. There were a lot of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they do. They just
Well, once you got to the end of the game, unless you were in a raiding guild or you could get a group together to go raid something, it didn't really... You stood around and did nothing.
It was amazing to me how some of these people... I didn't play crazily, and I didn't not play crazy. I played pretty well. I played okay. But there were some guys, some people who would... They were at the top tier of video game playing. And they were so good at getting far in the game, and they could play their character really well, and they could dual box, and they had all the drops. Who was I chatting with? There was a character who was actually run by a fraternity of guys. Remember that?
I remember that in WoW. I don't remember any EQOA.
Okay, that's probably a WoW story I'm thinking of. But there had to have been characters that were just shared by 3, 4, 5 people. They were always on, always doing something.
Yep.
Who knows who they were?
I don't remember that. That wouldn't surprise me, but I can't think of any examples of that off the top of my head.
Well, it was also, as far as, unless you had, a group to go raiding with or a group whatever, you had to wait for things to spawn.
Yep.
So it was people logging on, checking the people they have parked at Lady Vox or wherever, and then they'd log off because she wasn't up, and they'd sit around Freeport and BS because, they're good. They don't need to go to get anything else. They're just waiting to do something. EQA was a lot of waiting to do something after you got to max level. I mean, yes, there was stuff to do, but once you finished it, you're like, okay, now what? So you'd sit around for a while, and then they'd release like the lycanthropy stuff, and you're like, okay, well, we're gonna go do this for the next few weeks, and then you do that, and then you'd be back in Freeport showing off your sweet weir lion.
Were you a lion?
I was a weir lion, yes.
I was a gator.
That's right. I remember you were running around as a gator. I was
At least my druid never had one, but my rogue was a weregator. Because it looked ridiculous with the black armor that he had.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys missed the grind.
Yeah.
I miss the grind.
What do you guys miss about it? What did you like about it?
Chatting.
Yeah.
You just kind of BSing with guys.
Yeah.
It was mindless.
Mindless chatting.
Yeah. It wasn't hard. And if you had a good group, you kind of had to pay attention. Like if you had a really good group who the tank was pulling to their limit, and I was a healer, so you kind of had to pay attention.
Tank was pulling to the healer's limit. Yes.
Yes. Pulling to the healer's limit. You know, it was kind of a challenge sometimes. But at the end game, I don't really remember that happening. It was usually all or nothing. Like either your group was good enough to do it, or your group was not good enough to do it. There wasn't this healer ability, or it wasn't so much just your ability to do it. It was the whole group. So if the whole group wasn't ready to take on some raid boss, you weren't going to do it. But in a group, when you had a tank who was pulling, he was chain pulling, and it was just like a constant, not struggle, but it was just constant. There was no breaks, no gaps, no nothing. It was fun. Because you kind of had to pay attention, not so much to the point where it was annoying, but it was still intense in a way.
What were your longest grinds?
Phantoms.
How long would you say you were there in a stretch?
I think that one day we did them for 8 hours.
Sounds about right. Or you go to EG.
Well, if you got the good spot at Phantoms, even when mobs were slightly below your level, I mean, you could start chain pulling and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I remember it being fast at the time. Maybe at the end it wasn't because I was too high of a level, but when they were just like orange, they're 2 levels above you, it was pretty good XP. I remember.
Well, I remember. CMs. We always ground out CMs at the end game.
Ugh.
That's all we did.
Yeah. I don't remember, other than Elephant Graveyard, I don't really remember what the endgame grinding places were. I know you had moots, but I don't think that was endgame.
Oh, you had eyes.
That was EG.
Yeah, you had that.
Correct.
But I think that's the only spot that there really was. I think you had harpies, but I don't know if they were endgame or not.
Oh, were those the ones that screeched you to mute your television?
Yes.
Oh, I remember grinding those.
I liked that camp. Because there was a rare spawn who would sometimes spawn there.
Right.
At the harpy nest. Same thing at the moots. I don't really remember.
Damn harpies. I do kind of miss that. Hey, we're gonna group up. Where do you want to go? Mm-hmm. And it was a trek to get out there.
Yep.
You know, you really had to commit. So you'd run out there and you'd run past the brown recluse, and you'd lose your summoner.
Ebony recluse, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just a whole thing getting out there. And then you get out there and it'd all be camped. So you'd sit there and you'd pretty much just piss off some other group until they left. Because they had been there for 5 hours.
Time to move on, folks.
Yep.
I do remember doing that at the skeletons.
Yeah.
Well,
at the igloos.
Skellies.
And there was 2 sets of igloos, and we would take both sets and we'd start pulling everything.
Yep.
That was one of those times where it was pulling to the healer's ability.
Yes.
We got to a point when you got your group of mercenaries together in Freeport or wherever, and they said, "Where are we going?" And someone said, "Oh, I'll go check out Minotaurs. I'll go check out Woods. I'll go check out."
Oh, I forgot about Minotaurs. That was a fun camp.
I love Minnows.
There was
and then you'd split up, and everyone would check it out. All right, I got a camp over here. Hurry up! There's another crew coming.
Yep.
And so everyone had to run over there, and it was an investment just to get there.
Yep.
I remember I don't know what they were called. They're kind of like gnolls, but they're a really big, heavy set versions of gnolls, and they were right on the edge of a river. And there's like 2 of them, and they would spawn constantly. I remember camping there a lot. I remember what they were called. They weren't gnolls. I don't think they were gnolls.
I don't remember that one.
That one might have been endgame too, but there was the stupid rhinoceros that you couldn't kill. It was light blue, and it would come up and it would kick your ass, and it ran faster than Sao.
Yes, what was that thing?
I don't remember what the thing was called.
And it would roam around this one camp.
Yes, and that was where I liked the camp that thing would roam around. It was a fun Camp 2 XP app. I don't remember what that thing was.
Was it an aggressive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They would just come back.
And it was a rhinoceros, and it had so many hit points that you couldn't kill it unless you had a group. And it was light blue to you, like it had no hit points, it was a low level.
I remember that's what kind of made the grind kind of fun. I mean, yeah, it happened to you sometimes. We'd be sitting there, and you'd see some other group accidentally pull a rhino. And you'd be like, "Oh, look at those idiots! They pulled the rhino. Like, oh, they're dead." And you'd see them just like scatter.
Yep. Oh yeah,
that was fun. Well, there was the elephant in EG too.
Yep.
It would just roam.
Yeah.
That one wasn't nearly as bad though because you could outrun him if you needed to.
Yeah, that rhino was bad.
The rhino was.
Wasn't it just called like a raging rhinoceros or something like
raging
that?
Rhinoceros.
Was it raging? Okay.
Raging rhinoceros.
That was a question in our notes for later though. We figured it out.
I think it's pretty sure it was raging rhinoceros.
That sounds exactly right.
Yeah, it does.
He was raging.
Yes,
he was really angry.
Yeah, I remember dying to him a couple times.
I remember the ebony recluse, but I don't remember it actually being that bad because I thought you could
It just
kill
had
it.
a really bad poison, if I recall correctly.
Enchanters could.
Tame it. Then they got loose. Because the enchanter wasn't paying attention. They would wipe your group.
Yeah, I remember kappas too.
Yeah.
Those are turtles, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that was a
Tower.
that was a fun camp. And there was a lot of camps there too. Low level camps. I remember the Gators. I remember Sunnyvale. Crocs.
Sunnyvale
was
whenever
fun.
we watched Fairly Park Boys.
What was Sunnyvale? Oh, that was
Undead.
Yeah, it was undead camp.
You'd have to port to this town. It was just a little outpost.
Something outpost. Yeah.
You went there and then you had to
Run over the hill.
The hill, I don't really remember.
If I remember it, you could take the road, and it was on the road because I think the road went right through it.
I thought you went over the hill though.
I think that was a shortcut, but I think if you stayed on the road, it like kind of wound around, and then it would take you there. It would branch off, and there was
that would bring you to the front gates.
Oh.
And if you went over the hill, you'd come in on the side.
Yes. Yep.
and there was just tons of mobs wandering around, so it was a good place to camp. I remember soloing that place on my magician because he had I remember he had a fire pet, and he would go in there and just kill stuff. It wasn't exactly fast, but when you didn't have a group, it was the best you could do. Yep.
Seemed like I was almost always in a group.
Yep.
Yeah, 99% of the time I was. It was just those. Every once in a while, you'd have a day where you just couldn't find a group, or you'd get in a group and they'd be like, "Oh, I gotta go," and then it would break up, and you did get groups like that, and then go do something yourself.
There's something special about the grind. Just grinding it out, doing a level or two. You watch your bubs go up.
Yep.
You get to the exit. You're right there. You can see it. You're grinding. You ding. You get that level, and everyone's actually legitimately happy for you. Congrats.
Because it's a big deal.
Congrats all around. And you grind it out for, like you said, 8 hours or 5 hours. Could be less than that.
You grind out 8 hours and it wasn't even a level, or at the end when you're doing CMs and it felt like it'd take you 8 hours to get a CM, and I don't think it was ever that bad, but that's kind of how it felt.
I don't know. I never really did any CMs. It sounds, just from reading some chatter online here and there, it seems like some of the CMs took forever to get. Took days in between CMs. But I
can see that because there was 1,200 you could get. Was it max?
Something like that.
I
think it was like
I read it was 1,500.
1,500, sure.
And you had to buy certain abilities, if I remember right, to be able to get. No, you got the title, and then that unlocked certain abilities, and then you could buy the abilities that were for that title with the other CMs, if I remember right. Like, just because I got Immortal doesn't mean I automatically had all of the abilities of an Immortal. I had to buy all the ones that I wanted for that, I believe.
Did you get the title or where? I thought you bought the title.
You bought the title with CMs, but then within that title,
You
there
could
were
get
certain
more.
abilities that you spent more CMs.
Or weren't there some generic ones to get to your title?
I think so. I think there
I
were.
thought there was, yeah.
Because I had to buy like 4 abilities and go down this tree, and then once I made it to the bottom, I think there's only 5 abilities in that tree. Once you made it to that 5th one, then you got the title. I think, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It was. I vaguely remember. I remember getting both of my titles. I was grinding out eyes at Elephant Graveyard with a druid. I guess I don't remember where I got the assassin title with or at. That one went quicker.
Do you think you have enough time to do the grind now? Of course, back then we were in high school, right out of high school, or college. A little bit in college, but now we have jobs and dogs and houses to maintain and things like that. But of course, when we were grinding, there were folks our age who were drinking good ass beer and
Making faces.
had families and everything else. Do you think you could pull out an 8-hour grind session?
Mm-hmm. On the weekends, maybe. But it would have to be like 9 a.m. to 3 or to 5 p.m. kind of thing. Like in the early morning and in the mid to late afternoon, I got other stuff I want to get done. But in the middle of the day, I could maybe squeeze it in.
Squeeze a full shift in.
A full shift in. But that might change too, as time goes on and whatever. As you be more of an adult, then maybe
people find times to do things they want to do.
This is true too.
That's totally true.
So if it was something like if I was as interested in EQOA as I was when I was in high school, hell yeah, I'd probably find the time.
Yeah.
I'd get all my stuff done or whatever, and I just hop on EQOA and sit in Freeport for a few hours, pick up a group, head out to the Minnows, and pound out a couple CMs and make some what I'm looking for here. Pizza rolls. Pizza rolls and having myself a good night. Some taquitos. What was your guys' food of choice for the grind?
Just flat out pizza. Just pizza. But then again, at the time in high school, it was usually whatever mom made for supper. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Maybe Triscuits. I was always a sucker for Triscuits. Oh my gosh, I just love Triscuits. Yeah, other than that, it was just leftovers.
If I was at like Kyle's house and we were playing pizza rolls.
And
taquitos, I remember.
Or taquitos. It'd be something along those lines.
It would be taquitos and marijuana.
Yeah.
And liquor.
And liquor, yes.
I don't remember a lot of liquor, but I remember the other stuff.
Yes.
Last time we chatted, you had mentioned that you had a few embarrassing stories.
Oh boy. I have one.
I wouldn't have thought of this if you hadn't mentioned it last month. So this segment of the show is called Let's Embarrass Luke.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
And by us, I mean himself.
Yes.
Some embarrassing moments from EQOA.
Yeah.
Yes.
The best one that I remember, and maybe it's not funny to other people, but it's really funny to me. Mm-hmm. We, meaning Marcus, Kyle, and his other character, his dual box character, myself, on my druid, I believe, went out to the...
One second, let me stop you right there. Marcus, you know exactly what he's going to talk about.
There's two embarrassing stories.
Only
one because the other one was a different video game. It wasn't even an MMORPG. Never mind. Continue.
Which story?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
We can
Next
talk about that
segment.
later.
Okay.
Segment.
Well, anyways, we were going out to the Kappas. this the story you're thinking of?
No.
And
There's another one.
there must be another one. I can't remember that one. This one has always stuck with me because it's probably the only time that this has ever happened to me.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so we run out to campus and we're doing our thing and it's really, really late. And I'm sitting there and I'm not enough.
Oh.
And I'm not enough. And my character's sitting there and I stop healing, but Kyle can deal with it. And then I just take off. Just take off running.
Yep.
And the next morning I wake up and at the time my internet only stayed connected for like 3 hours at a time. So I got disconnected. So I woke up, not really remember waking or turning anything off. So I'm like, oh crap, where am I? Where did I quit? Turn on the game, log everything back in, and I'm in Freeport. I'm like, what the hell happened last night? So I'm talking to Marcus on the phone later, and he's like, yeah, you just fell asleep and took off running, and then we saw your health go dead. And then we booted you from group and replaced you with somebody else.
Of course.
Well, I wasn't gonna call you wake up your parents.
Yeah, so I do remember that, and just the idea of sitting at campus, doing our thing, and poof, gone, no reason, and they're like, Luke, hello, hello, no response.
It was so perfect because it was super late at night, and we were out there just playing whatever, and nobody was talking. We were just in the grind, and then. It was like I was dreaming. All of a sudden, Luke just took off. Like he had to be somewhere. He had to be somewhere now. And Kyle stopped pulling. He was like, "What happens with this?" So we did. We watched Luke run off, and then Kyle was like, we just shrugged and just went back into pulling. And then, sure enough, maybe a few minutes later, Duke's health. Just went down.
I must have found that rhinoceros.
Probably, and we were like, "Hey, buddy, what's up? Are you okay?" No. And I think we actually kept going long enough until you got disconnected.
Oh, that could be.
We kept pulling. I mean, sorry to make you sound really important. We kept pulling. I mean, it was a shadow night.
Yeah,
you know,
they didn't. I was there for like auxiliary heals, and then I'd throw in like a star flare or whatever that ability
more damage
was.
than anything.
Yeah.
So, and then you disconnected. We picked up a different healer, and kept going with the grind. But you just took off.
It was late. I do remember that.
I really remember that night. That was a good one.
What's the other one?
Doesn't matter. So
no, the one that for EQOA that
doesn't matter.
I don't know. That's the only one that I really remember.
I remember falling asleep with WoW on several times. Not while playing. Usually I'd be like in Freeport.
Oh.
Or High Pass, or I'd be out doing something stupid. It doesn't matter. Running around throwing potions at things. And then I'd just stop and I'd just fall asleep.
Yeah, I don't.
One of the fun games I like to play after mowing the lawn or doing homework and leaving the game on was going back to the keyboard and pushing R.
Just to see who talked to you?
Who was the last person to talk to you? You never had any idea if your buddy sent you messages, whoever was last, and if it got pushed past the chat log, if it got moved out of that, it was gone.
What other embarrassing stories do we have? The rest of them are just like wipe stories, like doing a boss and you just... It's not just your fault because you had 20 people there or whatever and you couldn't take down the guy. I mean, that wasn't not your fault.
My embarrassing story was accepting that. I think it actually was the Grimblade from that poor soul.
Did you catfish him?
I didn't. Kyle. I'm blaming Kyle entirely for this.
I do remember having a similar experience.
Yeah.
Just because because I played a female character, so you would get weird random people every once in a while like, hey, what's happening? It's like, I'm a guy, and then they wouldn't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
But you would get those weird people who just assume that because you played a female character, you were a female, and they wanted to hit on you. Mm-hmm. And it was weird. I do remember getting that a couple of times. And that's probably why I stopped playing female characters, because I didn't want to deal with the weirdness.
Probably good reason. There were no dick pics back then either. EQOA.
You could make one out of symbols on the keyboard, probably, but that's about it.
No. There's some weird sexual politics going on back in that game. Just like everywhere else there were, but
Yep.
guys who legitimately pretended they were women.
Who actually catfished.
Who actually catfish. There's stories of that. People traveling around, visiting folks and finding out they weren't who they thought they were. Just weird stuff.
Back before the world of Skype or
Oh yeah.
that's the one that they use on
Vent.
Vent.
Control. Now, yeah, for sure. Now, if you want to tell, you just
Or go to Facebook.
Yeah, start a FaceTime with them.
Yep. Or FaceTime.
Or if they have makeup and the hairdo and like a wig, I suppose they could trick you, but
They're going through a lot of effort
that's-
at that
that's-
point
that's
to do it.
elaborate. It is.
And
Yeah,
then
just a CV.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
yeah. You always do this, dog.
There's a dog below the table right now squeaking his toy. That's what
Drop
that
it.
is.
Drop it.
Well, that ends that segment.
Unless anybody else has any embarrassing stories.
Let's embarrass Luke. I have a story that this kind of segues into another segment I have here. This segment is called Bringing the Skeletons Out of the Closet. This is just a place for you to get that monkey off your back, to clear the air, just to confess any sins, any EQOA sins you may have had in your past.
Like ninja looting?
Yeah, ninja
yeah.
training. Here,
Training.
let me start it off.
I feel like this is Scott's segment.
So, went to that outpost by Sunnydale, whatever that place is called. We went there, and I had learned. Someone take that squeaky.
It's very rhythmic.
He does. Drop it. What?
Nothing.
God.
Says your hemorrhoid ring.
Oh, it kind of looks like a head.
Yeah.
There you go.
I feel better?
Yep.
Alright.
I feel taller.
Good. Went to the outpost, whatever it's called, and I had learned that if people filed complaints with you, let's say if they got a GM involved,
It is very rhythmic.
Yes, it is.
He's pretty good, I guess. He can be in our band.
if somebody filed a complaint and a GM got involved, the GM would look through the chat log.
Yes, I know
Can't-
exactly the story.
Can't take anything seriously with the dog doing that.
The GM would take a look at the chat log and make a judgment based on what he or she saw there. So, if there was a dispute between characters or whatever else, this person would come on, review the evidence, and then make a judgment. Well, what I had done one time, I had seen a character, an enchanter or a magician, and this person was wearing a yellow robe. It was either a yellow one or a green one. And I sent this person a message and said, hey, what kind of robe is that? Because I was in a robe collecting frenzy. I had a ton of robes, all kinds of them. And this person said, oh, it's a sunweave robe, is what it was. It was either the sunweave robe or the fernweave robe. And I said, oh, that looks pretty sweet. Can I try it on my character? And the person said, yeah, sure. And this person, out of their good heart, handed me the robe. And I foolishly lent me the robe. And then I waited around and sent this person chat messages to grind out the text box. All the messages got pushed out of the top. So all the old ones were gone, the new ones were there. And once I knew all the evidence was gone, then I dipped on onto there with this guy's robe and stole it. I stole this guy's robe. I feel
Right to his face.
yes,
Right in front of him.
right in front of him,
Gone.
and left. if you're out there, this is my sincerest apology. With a dog's squeaky toy in the background, I'm very sorry for stealing that from you. I was greedy and selfish and young. That's the skeleton out of my closet.
This kind of tastes like bananas.
Lucas is holding up a beer right now. He's holding up a good ass beer, and he says
It tastes like bananas.
it tastes like bananas.
It's only got 105 calories.
They put the caloric information on there?
Yeah.
How peculiar.
Average analysis, calories 105, carbs 6.6, protein 0.9, fat 0. 4.2% alcohol per volume, or by volume.
Good ass beer is also informative ass beer.
I'd say.
Still tastes like bananas.
Maybe we can get a picture of this can up on the.
Ah, yes. We do have video and visuals to go along with this apparently on the YouTube.
We do?
I'm just saying.
Oh, possibly.
We have the possibility, yes.
Yeah, maybe in the future we could grab a camera. What the hell? See how it goes. We could have a camera set up right there.
Do we
Coming this way.
do we have like can we look at the comments from the last one? There were a few comments you said.
Yeah.
Do we want to address those?
Yeah.
Are there any questions?
I don't think so, but we can look at them.
Let's take a look.
We have 2 comments. I think we should release.
2 comments?
I've seen 2 comments. Yeah. So if you go to YouTube, look up EQOA conversations. That's just what I call it. I couldn't think of anything else. I wasn't going to sit around wasting time. I think I uploaded it while I was at work.
I'm trying to think if I had any skeletons in the closet I wanna.
Oh, I got more.
I have some for you.
Oh no. Like stories I had done?
Yeah, stories of things you had done.
Well, if you want to bring them on anyhow, this is the skeletons in your closet segment, so.
It's actually funny. It's not really that bad. It was a train attempt gone bad.
Oh no.
We were
Giants?
at the Cyclops,
Cyclops.
and Kyle and I were there,
Oh.
and it was just clicking through mobs, looking for the next guy to pull, and you'd see Everlong, and and in the group chat, the party chat would just be "Hail Everlong!" ... Oh no! And then we'd get done killing that mob, and then it would just be invis, and then wait. Because if I remember right, we were slightly too low to be there. Like we were just barely the right level that we could kill those things. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you were bringing Cyclops to us was not a good thing.
No.
I do remember that.
I remember getting some nasty private messages from Kyle after that. A couple messages about training them.
Yeah, and I do remember some successful trains from you, but whatever.
Very successful trains.
Yes.
I don't know what it was. Something about training people.
I don't know if I have really any. I mean, I feel really bad about the sword. The sword. But otherwise, I don't know. I really feel like I swindled. I guess there was one guy, and this isn't really so much anything, I quit talking to him. It happens in every game, so. He was awfully needy, though. It was like, somebody begging for gold, and I finally gave in, and begging for tuna, I gave in, and then he had questions, and I legitimately answered his questions. Then it didn't stop. Oh, it didn't stop. I think I ran him to high pass, too. You're bored sitting around. This level whatever guy needs to get to, Coinos, and you're in Freeport. You're like, I'll run you as far as high pass. I ain't gonna go any further than that, though.
You get sick of answering the questions after a while. Right. It's like, just go play the game and figure it out. The game's not that complicated.
Right. No.
He's gonna be very disappointed in you, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
I just took away the dog's squeak toy. He's gonna be.
He's gonna be sad.
He's gonna be disappointed.
Yep, he's waiting for it now.
Oh.
He's just gonna stare at it for the next hour.
Poor guy. Alright, that segment is. Well, we can always revisit that segment.
There's probably a lot more to that
that
segment.
Scott's cleaning out the closets.
Yeah, I'm airing it out today, boys. I read this quote by Tolkien. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name.
Lord of the Rings author, that
Yep,
guy.
That guy. He had said video games, he had this comment about video games as escapism. Which I think is apt because we all played it as a form of escapism.
Yep.
He said, if we were watching a movie, maybe he didn't even say that. He said, if a hero is in prison, we expect him to escape from prison. And that was the logic behind why his game was an escape route for the hero of just like the daily grind. You go to your shitty job, you can go home and you can escape for a little while, get away from that. And I found that to be, not that my job was very hard or even I had a job, but it was a fun way to engage it in escapism and just get away from it and enter this other world. And there are a lot of folks who could operate better in that other world. They just would rather be behind a keyboard and a controller than actual in-person meeting folks, and they felt more comfortable there and they could be themselves, maybe meet a wife or a husband or whatever else. So when I read that quote, I instantly thought of EQOA. Just that first realm of real escapism for me in my video game life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything up until then had been static, playing against the computer, but this was, you could be somebody else in a world of other people, and you could start new, or you could act out or be whatever you wanted. I think that's partially why I trolled as much as I did. Trolled and trained, stole and instigated, swindled and oh boy, just looking back, it was just an outlet to get rid of all this pent up frustration that I have no idea why I had in the first place. Yeah.
I think Scott feels better about himself right now.
That's a weight off your shoulders.
Yeah. Jeez, get it out there. Get it out there. Think you could name all the races?
Races, probably.
Let's see what you got.
Human. There are two of them, east and west.
Correct.
Halfling. Elf. Dark elf. Barbarian. Gnome. Erudite. Troll. Ogre. I don't think I'm missing any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11.
11.
No, sorry.
10.
6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10. Were there 10? Are there 10 races?
Well, it's all the normal fantasy races, so I can't think of any.
There's no dwarf?
Oh, that was dwarf. Yeah, you're right. I did miss one.
Were there high elves?
No.
I don't think so.
Elf was just started in two separate places depending on what class.
What elf?
It was just elf.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you were like a druid or a bard or a ranger, you started in Teflon. And if you were any of the other ones, you started in Facespires. I think it's called Facespires.
I never played a quote unquote good character. There weren't any. You couldn't fight anyone. It was just
No.
light and dark, good
No.
and bad, or anything like that.
The best you could do is train people.
I did my best at that.
You did.
Classes. Meet Marcus. What do you got?
Warrior, Shadow Knight, Shaman, Alchemist Rogue, necromancer, ranger, druid, enchanter. It's just a mage, wasn't it? Sorcerer, wizard. Wizard.
They're both
They're both
Wizard.
mages?
wizard and mages, because mages were elemental and sorcerers
Alright,
were
okay.
because sorcerers had the pets.
No,
Yeah.
mage and wizard, right?
Yeah, mage
Not-
and
not
wizard.
Mage and wizard.
sorcerer.
Sorcerer was a
Sorcerer was
CM.
yeah CM.
Okay. Wizard, glass cannons, right?
Correct.
I can think of two more that he's not thinking of. Nope, I can think of one more that he's not thinking of.
I got 2.
Hold on. I feel like there's
Actually, there's 3,
some other plateware.
4.
Oh yeah.
Heavy.
There's 4.
Go ahead.
Paladin,
Oh, I didn't think of that
Yeah.
one. Yep.
paladin, monk,
Yep.
Oh, it's like the stupid monks.
Cleric.
cleric,
They
and
both
bard.
played, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep, cleric and bard.
The bard, yeah.
Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 classes.
That doesn't seem like everything though,
Is it a ranger? Did we say that?
Yeah, ranger's on there.
because you had
Did you not write it down?
Look, there it
yeah,
is.
because you had the tanks, warrior, shadow knight, paladin. You had the healers, so druid, shaman, cleric.
Mm-hmm.
And you had your everything else was a damage dealer. So then you had your
Oh.
rain or your casting damage dealers, so mage, wizard, necromancer, enchanter. And then you had your melee DPS, rogue, ranger, bard. I guess then monk, so that'd be right.
Mm-hmm.
4, 4, 3, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. It just seems short for some reason.
I thought it was pretty long, actually. Wow, that's a lot of them.
I had a monk too, but he never made it very far. After I got into my rogue, I didn't really want to play any other melee damage dealers. Because I wanted to have one of each type,
Yeah.
but I was not and still am not a good tank.
Correct.
It just the class does not appeal to me. The play style doesn't appeal to me at all. Even
That
in,
could be next segment's Let's Embarrass Luke.
yeah.
His tanking skills?
His tanking skills.
Well, not so much in EQOA, but in WoW at the end they were pretty bad. Ugh.
Let's just say he gets frazzled.
Yeah, and I don't see everything. So, and that's the same problem I had with this, is that there's so much going on that I focus on my character and it's like I'm blinded by just whatever character I'm playing, so I can't see all this stuff that's going around. So I miss the fact that I need to spin him so that this ability doesn't hit people, or he has like a cone ability and I don't get out of the way in time, or because I don't see that stuff, which is why ranged DPS always worked best for me. Because it was easier for me to stay at a distance and avoid that stuff, because it's easier to avoid it at a distance usually than to be right in the middle of it. Which is why the rogue is a weird class to play, but for me, it worked. If you stayed behind, it was no big deal.
All I ever did was heal and buff.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I ever did. And chat. That's it.
That's all you needed to do.
You guys have any really good memories from drops? Epic loots that came your way?
Not any particular ones. Just the epic pieces for getting Plane of Sky, or even killing the first boss in Plane of Sky and getting whatever he dropped. I don't remember what he dropped. I just remember he dropped something good. My guess is Kyle got it, because it was probably I seem to remember that was a tank piece.
Was he in the guild with you?
Yep. Yeah, he was main tank. I don't know. I don't remember anything particular.
I remember getting a hat, being really excited for a hat. Or something.
Even though you always
Towards the end.
hit it?
Yeah, because I was wearing my gnome hat.
You could hide your hat?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
You did turn off your helmet. If I recall correctly.
So just you would still be wearing it, but it wouldn't show up. And like the gnome, they had the ridiculous little red hats.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would see that hat instead of whatever helm you were wearing.
You could turn off your helmet.
Yep.
Just for cosmetic reasons.
Yep.
I don't remember
Could you
that.
turn off your helmet, or did I get a helmet that didn't have a graphic, and that's why I was so excited?
Maybe that's what it was. I remember getting my first glowy shield.
Mhm.
Yes.
Skelly's dropped those, I think.
Could be. Well, there was a really low level one and there was a really high level one, and I got the high level one.
Hmm.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, or it was exciting, because there wasn't anything else like it.
How did you loot mobs?
You walked up, you had them targeted, you walked up and you hit X, and then it would pop up a loot window, and then you'd have to hit either, I don't know if there was a take all button, I think you just hit X on every single piece that was in there that you took. And things weren't soul-bound.
No.
Nothing was soul-bound. Well, very few things were soul-bound.
Is that what it's called, Soulbound?
It's what it's called now. I don't know what it was
I
called
can't
at the
recall what
time.
it was, yeah.
I think they just said not tradable or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And that's when ninja looting came in.
Because as long as you were in the group that killed the mob, anybody could go up and loot it. So then you kind of had to pay attention to the loot order, unless you had somebody who was just looting everything and then just evenly distributing it at the end.
Well, someone would collect stacks for the tank.
Yeah, and typically that was the healer's job, if I remember right. I remember doing it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just easier for me to do it, to walk up there, take it, make the stacks, and then just distribute it at the end. I remember doing it a lot.
The loot order, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you could loot, like, if it wasn't a big deal to the tank, every fourth one was yours, and mobs wouldn't disappear unless somebody looted it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Yeah. I think I remember that. I might be confusing that with WoW, because you have loot the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But
Loot the hounds.
I think that happened in EQOA too,
What's that?
where if you didn't loot them, no, they had to respawn if you didn't loot them, because the eyes would respawn all the time really fast, even if you didn't loot them. That's why people would stay there overnight and camp it, because they would just keep on respawning.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I never tried it because I always looted.
I don't think they would respawn unless you looted them.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember driving, quote unquote, driving one or two of those groups. Just a petter. What else?
What's the name of the segment?
Oh,
I forgot.
we combined two: skeletons coming out of the closet, video game as escapism. We melded those two together. Just little notes.
Did we talk about favorite places to XP?
I don't think so.
Not really, no.
I'm torn.
Between what?
Phantoms and Harpies.
What'd you like about each one?
They're both fast. If you got the whole camp. Or like if you got a good spot, they're both really fast. And you had a good group. But because Phantoms was the first place you went once you got to Frontiers. Because it was right off of the main city. You walked out and there was that weird pyramid thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all over it. I remember that. And it was fun. It was the first Frontiers experience I had. And Harpies were just... annoying because they sounded funny, and I'd always play with the volume on, so it was kind of crazy.
Luke liked it.
I did. I can't play games without sound.
I can.
I can't. Even when I play like Diablo now, I have at least on like just so you can still barely hear it because I need some kind of volume. I can't play in silence.
And that's the reason why I hated the harpies so much is because I hated that noise so much that I would have to play with the volume off, and I didn't like doing that. Like, even though I usually had like Eddie on the background, you know, I still liked hearing the game music, like the like the hits, and like the throwing of the potions and the casting. You know, I liked hearing that. But I did not like the noise that the harpies made.
I don't remember the harpies at all.
It wasn't a camp that I went to very often. Same thing with like Moots. I very rarely went there, but I remember XPing there. Just big giant elementals and this castle-like thing.
Mm-hmm. I remember Moods once or twice.
Why didn't you go there very often?
I don't know. I just don't think it was a popular choice because it was kind of a pain in the butt to get to. If I remember, it was just a long run. But so was Kappa's.
I really liked going to Kappa's. That was probably my favorite.
Where was it? Was it like
This is
an
the-
It was a
island?
long ways away.
It was like the opposite corner from where you started. It was in the bottom right corner of the map, if I remember right.
Mm. I liked it just because it was such an adventure to get out there, and I knew that if we were going to go to Kappa's, that we were going to be in for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to be there for a while. You could usually find a camp because it was a very large place, if I recall.
Mm-hmm. I remember wiping there many times.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were too low, or we went to the basement, and the guys, I think, in the
See, I
basement
liked
were
going to the
higher.
basement. I loved going to the basement.
I think the basement was higher level than the outside. So it was one of those camps you could kind of progress through. So you started on the outside, and then if you were there long enough and you leveled up enough, then you can move to the inside and then down to the basement.
I remember having to find. I remember being at the Kappas before, but something went wrong, and you had to. You're wiping. If you couldn't run away, you had to find a safe place to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a thing.
Yep.
Because somebody, a cleric, who could res you? Any healer?
Any healer.
They had to get in range of your body, and then they had to res you. Am I right?
Yeah, and Res, if I remember, it wasn't an instant cast ability. So
Took a little while.
if they, like, say you got attacked by a raging rhinoceros while you're trying to res somebody, I don't think you made it to the end of the fight before res went off. I don't think you res them, and even if you did, they were dead again anyways.
Right.
Yeah, because you get the loading screen, and your body would be there.
Yeah, but I don't remember because healers, could you res yourself? So then you'd go back to your body? Because I don't remember as a healer, like, I don't remember having to run out there again to res everybody.
When you died, you popped up at the Spirit Master. You didn't run as a ghost, did you?
No, I don't believe so.
So
If you're close enough to your body, you could res yourself. No, you could claim, you could spirit. You could do something with your spirit.
you could.
But I thought only the healers could because then the healers had to res everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you maybe didn't have to run back?
So maybe as a healer you could, maybe it's just because the other classes didn't have a res ability. So their healer would just res themselves and then they would come back to their body and then you'd have to be, but that doesn't make any sense because you'd still have to be within range of your body.
Yeah, because you had to claim your spirit. I remember that. That sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
So
But you could get someone else in your group who was in the city to res you.
Yep.
Hey, bro, can I get a res? And they'd res you. How the heck?
Yeah, because
does
you would
that
just like somehow join Freeport
work? Yeah.
chat
Yep.
and be like, "Can I get a res from anyone?"
Yeah.
So maybe you just had to be in group with somebody who could res you and then if they resed you, you just go back to your body.
I don't think did you go back or did they just wipe your spirit? Like
I don't
they claim your
remember.
spirit. Write that down. How does res work?
Yeah. How did res?
I do remember that if you, and maybe this is a false memory too, but if you got a res, it eliminated some of your debt.
So that's what I think it was. That's the reason
Yeah.
why it was such a big deal. You wanted to get it.
So you could res at your body, or you could just res wherever, but as long as you res, you got some of your debt erased. Which is why people would be like, "Hey, can I get a res?" And then they would res back to you.
Oh,
If I remember right.
Top of your body.
Yeah. So
And then you had to run back wherever you were.
yeah. So as a healer, they would be dead, and then the healer, I think, would actually have to run back out there.
No.
And then and then they would res everybody, and then they would stack on top of the healer.
But you could be wait. I thought you could be totally away from that person. You could be in a city, group up with someone, select their name, and hit res, and they get res.
But they would res back to you. They'd res to wherever you're
So you
standing.
had to run all the way out there.
So the healer had to run out there, res everybody, then you would all come back in that area.
Oh.
I think that's how it worked. Because
I remember, and this might be confusing MMOs, but I remember specifically, I don't know if it was just in EQOA because of the long load times, that I remember, I specifically remember people dying and they'd be in a bad spot. And the healer, I remember like being res and I'd be watching this, because I never played a healer, and they'd like run up and like start resing the person, and they'd pop up where the healer was, and the healer would just book it. Because there was, somebody spawning or a pack coming through.
Yeah, I know what this is. Yeah.
And then the person that just got res, before they even loaded,
would be dead.
They load to you have died.
What would happen is, so you'd have roaming mobs, and as the healer, you'd have to run in close enough to their body, but where you were standing to close enough was a path, so you would cast res, and then you'd start to back up.
Yep.
And they would res where you were standing when you cast the ability. So if they happened to pop back up when that mob was coming in and their loading screen wasn't done, too bad, so sad, I gotta do it again. And then you got double the debt.
Yep.
And that was a big deal because people would get just pissed about the debt.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Because I got yelled at a couple times. But it wasn't my fault. I mean, you wanted to res, I have to get close enough to res you. I can't just stand. I mean, you have to be. It was a bad choice. It was a bad spot to stand in, I guess. Because you wanted to be because since people res to you, it didn't really matter where you were, but you wanted to stay within the area you were. You didn't want to lose your camp because you had backed up too far and somebody else didn't see you, and then they snuck in there. So you were in a bad spot. They popped up. They died again. Whoops. What do you want? $1 million tuner? I'm sorry. I can't fix it. I can erase some of your debt. Let's get this done.
Yeah, and if you got into a good group, you could just...
I do remember people getting so angry about that they would just drop group.
Right.
They would die.
Just get a res in town.
Yeah, they would die. I would res them, or if I was playing my rogue, the healer would res them. They'd pop back up in a bad spot because of a long loading screen. They'd be dead. Be like, oh, screw this, and they just leave. Instead of trying to work it off, because you got to work it off anyways. You don't have a choice.
Were you guys playing when Boone was introduced?
No.
I don't know where Boone is, but I don't really recall too much. I just remember it was double XP, right?
I don't know.
And you didn't always have it. You had to. It was an item you could get
or something, yeah.
And activate, or it had a single use, and you would get it, and then you'd have double XP for this level, or I don't know exactly how it worked. It wasn't a thing when I played.
I think it might have been a thing, but we didn't really care.
That's true. That's true. 'Cause
we might have just done.
We probably already had all of our CMs and stuff at that point too.
All the CMs we wanted.
Yeah, so it was just whatever. Because then it would just run around and find raid mobs to try to kill.
Right. Yeah, because CMs were good up until a point, and then after you got pretty much everything you needed, you could get up to 1,500, but there was no point, except for just to be a completionist.
Yep.
I don't know that.
I mean, there was a point. I mean, obviously your character got better, but it got to the point where you were grinding 6 hours for one CM, and it was nah.
Yeah, it was just more of, well, we'll go out and kill random stuff, and if we get enough XP to get it.
Farming for glowy shields. When you said that, I remember farming 2 or 3 of the low-level glowy shields to sell. I just remember doing that in my Alchemist for some reason. I don't know why.
It's my foot. Yeah, and just whatever. If you get enough points to get some XP and get to CM, you got a CM. If not, I got the abilities that I needed, so I don't need it.
I remember that being hey, I got a CM. Getting excited. I think I got one in POS. When we were in POS, I was I got a CM. What's that?
Yep. You have just a random whatever.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, "Grats."
No.
Well, at that point, it took hours and hours and hours to get them, so they're kind of a big deal.
Are there any things that two of you would like to see in the new EQOA that they're rebuilding right now? Any features?
The big things, and I don't know if this is even possible, but I like the idea to some extent of instancing, because the problem with having, like, say Lady Vox, for example, she spawns once every 3 days. There's only one. It sucks not being able to get that piece. I mean, it makes it more worthwhile when you get it, but it stinks that you have to wait, and then it's like completely random that you're gonna find her. So I do like the idea to some extent of instancing. I don't think that's possible. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know. Otherwise, I would like more gear, because I felt, especially at like doing the robe collecting, that I had this robe and I had this robe, but they looked exactly the same. It's like more textures or more styles or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's something I assume that's something they can build. If they have to redesign gear and all that stuff, that they would be able to add that, but maybe not. That's not so much of a feature, that's just more stuff.
Okay.
I would say keep the world big. And by that I mean don't make it easy to get around. I find that since everything in EQOA was done by foot, the world seemed enormous, and there was places I never even got to.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was always fun and exciting getting to these places where you needed a group to get to. And it was just, it kind of sucked, but you got at least I did, I got a really good, sense of gratification from just exploring. Not, if you're going to have groups and if you want to do instancing, don't, port everyone to it. I don't like that.
No, make
them like run to it. Actually, have it be like, don't make, just like I said, don't make the world feel small.
The way that WoW was when they, where you had to run if you wanted to go to an instance, you had to run to it and run in it, not just join a queue and now I'm in an instance.
Yeah, that was amazing how they did that.
Yeah, it's not, it just made the world seem so small.
Yep.
And you didn't care about.
And the only.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and the only reason I say instancing is just because I like the idea of being able to go after, and even make them like once a day. You can only do this one time a day or something like that. But you can have a chance to get that rare mob that you don't always get to see. Even if you made her, for example, Lady Vox in this case, you made her a rare mob, so there wasn't a guarantee that you were going to see her when you went in there.
Mm-hmm.
That you went through this dungeon and you made it to the end and you killed some other big boss, but you might get a bonus boss of her. It doesn't have to be a guarantee every time. And they do that in other MMOs where they have rare spawns within dungeons.
Sure.
So they could add that too. Something to keep it so it wasn't. So those things were still a challenge. So like it's a 1% chance that you'll see her or something like that. And you can only do this dungeon once per day, or so you see her not all the time. Something to keep it fresh.
I do like world bosses though.
I do too. Have some.
The idea of the world boss is nice.
Have some, but I don't know if they all need to be that way. Because it's so hard to find them. 'Cause I remember many times going up to Vox's castle and it was camped.
Oh, it's always camped.
Like you'd go up there hoping to see her, and TU would have 8 guys there, 8 necromancers like just sleep camping it.
I had a guy there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but they were like actively on, waiting for her to spawn.
Oh yeah.
And
I remember that first time, maybe second time, that they killed her without no one was even there.
yeah, I do remember one time running up there and she was up and no one was there. But by the time I got people rounded up to go, it was camped and she was done.
Yeah, that was just more encouragement for you to join one of those elite guilds.
Mm.
Because if you're a small fry, you just have such a harder time getting in there.
Yep. Yep. So that's my only thing for instancing. Otherwise, I do like the idea of world bosses. I do like the idea of running around and killing all the stuff and not just porting there.
Yeah.
But do they have the whole, like, access to the whole world?
I don't know.
I think the whole world is there. There's just no mobs. And there's no
People.
NPCs or anything. Yeah.
So they're really, essentially, they have a blank canvas as far as everything. They
I believe, yeah.
They have a world, but they have no characters in it. They have no gear. They have no...
Freeport's getting populated. I was just checking up on some videos. He's dropping... There's some folks, brilliant folks, who are figuring this stuff out, figuring out the names for these people, what they look like, and dropping them in place in different places in Freeport. For example, I've seen some of that, and I've seen them kill some mobs, different stuff like that.
Mm.
Other than that, I don't know how far they've gotten.
Well, that's good, because then, it gives them an opportunity to expand and add stuff to what was originally there. As far as mobs or gear or NPCs out in the wild or whatever, quest givers. It gives you opportunity to expand on all that and not have it set in stone with how it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess if Dark Solace is up, I'll come back and just hang out there.
What's that?
Shh. It's a place you don't talk about. Nobody talks in Dark Solace.
Nobody talks Dark Solace.
Was that a cave in the ground?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I remember trying to find it the first time, and it was such a bear.
And once you got in there,
it was fine. Yeah, it was a maze, but I remember running there the first time, and it's literally a hole in the ground, and you're like, how in the world?
Middle of nowhere.
How in the world did
Was that
anybody
Dark
find
Elves?
this?
What came out of it?
Nothing started there, as far as I know. It was just a city.
Just a waypoint that you port to.
And it was an evil city.
Yes.
Because the good races couldn't go there.
Guards would get them?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh. Well, I think we'll have to talk about that maybe next time.
Alright.
What are we at here for time?
138.
Oh my gosh.
It will be 138.
That went quick. For me.
Yeah.
Zip through. Anything else? Luke, anything to add?
No, if any, save it for next time. I don't have anything on the top of my head, so I'll think and brainstorm and add it for next time.
We can always do Less Embarrassed Luke next month.
Next month.
We can always find another one.
Yeah, I don't have anything else for that. That might be a one-time segment, a one-story segment. I didn't really embarrass myself that much.
I'll pick up the slack for you.
Yep.
I got a few more.
Let's embarrass Luke. Cross that out, Scott.
Yeah. Marcus, any residual thoughts? Anything you wanna?
No, I guess not really. No. I had my dream about the Iridium. I do want to know what the name of that town was. I'm not sold on it being Quanos. It might be, but...
No. It was like...
I'm pretty sure it is.
No.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I bet you a good-ass beer.
Oh, no, I'm not taking that bet.
It was not.
It was not a good ass beer.
Yeah. We'll find out next time.
We'll reveal the answer.
When we reveal the answer.
If anybody knows the answer, call in now.
Yeah, please call in. Maybe next time we'll get a camera in here. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get a phone call. Maybe not. We'll see what happens.
Maybe we can get Kyle or Grant on the phone.
Yeah, get him on here for 10-15 minutes, half hour, chat with him.
Get him up on a Skype call.
Yeah.
Grant already asked me what was if we were still podcasting.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Get him on the phone now.
Next time, for sure.
Next time we'll get Grant or Kyle.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're out of here. Folks, join us next month. More EQOA conversations. We'll let some skeletons out of the closet. Have a good time.
Embarrass Luke.
Embarrass Luke.
Drink more good ass beer.
Drink more good-ass beer.
Please no.
No, please no. Find a new one.
I'm Scott. That's Luke. That's Marcus. Good night.
Please.
Later.
Bye.